Welcome in to another episode of my Dynasty Fantasy Football YouTube. Today, I'm looking at one last round of Dynasty Rookie Sleepers to close out my rookie content for rookie season. And I promise, these are really sleepers from deep to deepest. Make sure to like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe if you haven't. Let's go. Sleeper number one, Dylan Laube, who went to college at New Hampshire and whose stats are not available on Pro Football Reference College. So we had to do a little bit of digging to find these stats. In 2018, he redshirted that year. And then 2019, there were some different sources, but as I could piece it together, 63 carries, 285 yards, touchdown, 4.5 yards carry, 28 catches, 412 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Then 2020 was mostly canceled due to COVID. 2021, 80 carries, 501 yards, 4 touchdowns, 6.3 yards per carry, 22 catches, 206 yards in a touchdown. And then he really stepped it up. 2022, 245 carries, workhorse usage, 1,205 yards, 15 touchdowns, but just 4.9 yards a carry. But an impressive 49 catches, 464 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And then lastly, a little bit lower on the workload, 160 carries, 747 yards, 9 touchdowns, 4.7 yards a carry, and 68 catches, 699 yards, and 7 touchdowns. It is tough to evaluate a player who played his entire career at a small school. I really wish he had transferred after his 2022 season for 1 year at a bigger school. But let's see. What are his strengths? Of course, the insane pass catching. 68 catches in any year in college is great for a college running back. He can move into the slot. Will he do that in the NFL level? I don't know. And he showed some workhorse ability in 2022. He did have 245 carries, so he can handle the larger workload. Even if he was not efficient on the larger workload, at least he can handle it. What are the weaknesses? Played at a tiny school. And as I said, the stats were not even published. I had to go digging for these. Turns 25 in December, so he's a significantly older prospect. And his 2 really workhorse years were when he turned, much older, 23 and 24 during those seasons. And then he's not really exciting as a runner. He doesn't do anything exciting. There's just nothing about him that excites me outside of the passing game. Where'd he go in the NFL draft? Las Vegas Raiders, 6th round, 208th overall. He picked up a lot of NFL draft steam, did Dylan Laube throughout the process. I expected him to be drafted. This is about what I expected. A 6th round pick is about right. And the Raiders decided to take a chance on him. And it's a great fit for him, honestly, because Zamir White is not a pass-catching running back. He is a 2-down thumper, which is perfect for Dylan Laube to come in, who's someone who doesn't run the ball well, but does well in the passing game. He's a good complement to Zamir White. And then you kind of have Alexander Madison, who's kind of meh at everything, just okay. So he's kind of the overall backup, but maybe Laube can win that complement role to Zamir White. So because of that fit, I have him 407, 43rd overall in my Superflex rookie draft rankings. It's a good 4th round pick that I would happily take. And in Dynasty overall, RB67, I don't think there's too much hope for him, but I would not mind having him in the later rounds of a startup because these types of running backs are always the players who have room to gain value. Now, speaking of my Dynasty ranks, if you like the content on the YouTube, please sign up for the Patreon. You can click on it up there at patreon.com/fantasyadvice. You get my rankings, access to the Discord, and the ability to ask advanced questions for the YouTube, which we will get into later. Now, as I always say, independent content like this YouTube channel, it's not supported by a corporate entity or anything like that, just can't survive without monetary support. And I love priding myself on what I do here, which is being a voice that can say what I want. There's no corporate interest telling me what to say. No editors cutting out things that I say that they don't like. We don't have that here. It's just all me. So unfortunately, that only works as a business model with independent support, meaning money. And the Patreon, I try to improve it. Every sign up means the world to me and helps me improve what I'm doing here. And it also gives you access to interact directly with me, which these days is really only available to patrons. Not really doing that on Twitter anymore. So once again, I hope you consider signing up and just remember what it means to me and to the channel because it's not going to survive without it. Now, with that said, let's move into sleeper number 2. Blake Watson. So Blake Watson, kind of similar to Dylan Laube, had a very long college career. He barely played in 2018 and 2019, and then the 2020 season was canceled due to the COVID pandemic. So the college career really started in 2021 when he was already turning 22 years old. 215 carries, 1,112 yards, 8 touchdowns, 5.2 yards a carry, 10 catches, 55 yards, and a touchdown. Then 2022, still at Old Dominion, by the way, 158 carries, 918 yards, 5 touchdowns, 5.8 yards a carry, 37 catches, 314 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So he stepped it up in the passing game, stepped it up in terms of efficiency in 2022. Now, what I like about Blake Watson is he transferred to Memphis for the final year, a bigger school. Still not a really big school, but a bigger school. 192 carries, 1,152 yards, 14 touchdowns, 6 yards a carry, and 53 catches for 480 yards and 3 touchdowns. He improved in efficiency, had more carries than 2022, more yards, more rushing touchdowns, more catches, and more overall production in the passing game. A great final year. So what are his strengths? The pass catching ability, efficient as a rusher later in the career, improved efficiency each year. Those are Blake Watson's strengths as a prospect. What are his weaknesses? He did literally 0 in college until his age 22 season in 2021. He turns 25 in October, so he's really old. And a 189-pound frame, which is what he has, might not hold up in the NFL. It just might not. It does not usually lend to being a workhorse or even a high-volume back of any kind at the NFL level. Now, Watson wasn't drafted, which honestly, given his pretty strong profile, maybe he should have been drafted in the 6th or 7th round, but he wasn't. He went as a UDFA to the Broncos. And what does that mean for him? He will be competing with Audric Estime and Jaleel McLaughlin for the backup role to DeVante Williams. Now, early reports say that Blake Watson is excelling in camp. Kind of a similar model to McLaughlin. And he earned $275,000 guaranteed for signing his UDFA contract. Probably means that the Broncos expect him to make the team. That's a very large guarantee to a UDFA. So, for those reasons, it's hard to rank a UDFA much higher than this, but I have him 504 for 52nd overall in my Superflex rookie draft ranks and RB81 overall in Dynasty. These are the types of players, again, like I like to take a shot on. He has a good college profile. He's an older player, but you never know. At the end of the day, he's competing with a 5th-round pick and a UDFA last year for a role in the offense, so there's no reason why he can't win that competition. Next up, Emani Bailey. Now, he's really a deep sleeper. I don't think many people are talking about him. He played college at Louisiana in the Sun Belt and then TCU. 2020, he didn't really play. And then 2021, 102 carries, 642 yards, 8 touchdowns, 6.3 yards a carry, and 15 catches for 153 yards. Then transferred to TCU. And that was good. That was a good move for him. Although he didn't do much in his first year there. 31 carries, 250 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 7 catches for 43 yards behind Kendre Miller, Amari DiMercato, players like that. And then in the final year, he broke out after those players left. 223 carries, 1,209 yards, 8 touchdowns, 5.4 yards a carry, and 25 catches for 184 yards and a touchdown. Very strong final year. What are his strengths? Workhorse ability in 2023? Yes, he showed that as a rusher and as a pass catcher. Not ancient. He only turns 23 in November. Now, that's still old for a running back prospect, but at least he's not ancient. And he can catch passes. He did show that at TCU. Weakness is a little slow. 4.61 second 40-yard dash. 26th in athleticism among 2024 rookie running backs, which is really bad. And nothing exciting as a prospect. Just doesn't excite me. But that's okay, because sometimes running backs that are not exciting end up being good in the NFL. Now, of course, why are we even talking about Emani Bailey? It's because of his NFL draft destination. He went to the Kansas City Chiefs as a UDFA, which means that we're probably going to at least take a look at him. What's fantasy fit? Well, there is room on the Chiefs to make the team, even to have a role on game day as RB3. They have Isaiah Pacheco, their clear starter. They re-signed Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who has been bad, but as their backup. He's going to be their RB2 at least to start the season. They released LaMichael Pirine, who served as their RB3 at times last year when there were injuries. They gave Emani Bailey $185,000 in guaranteed money. Does that mean he's a total lock to make the team? No. But it probably means he's at least 50-50, if not a little bit more than 50-50 to make the roster. So for those reasons, I have him at 5'10", 58th overall, my Superflex rookie draft value. if you're in a really deep draft, I would take a shot on him. You just never know. And I have him at RB87 in my overall rankings. Now, I do have one piece of news today, so we'll transition into that and then get to Patreon questions. DeVante Parker retired from the NFL. It makes no difference. The Eagles already are too full at offense, even to support A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, Dallas Goedert, and Saquon Barkley in the passing game. One or two of those things is not going to work out. It's probably going to be Goddard and Barkley, who don't get much passing game usage. It all goes to A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. But the Eagles are an offense where if they pass because they have those elite passing weapons, if they were to get hurt, they would just not pass. So I have no interest in stashing Anaya Smith or Johnny Wilson at all. Some people are going to pick them up because of this news, but I'm still just not interested in those players. But other than that, congrats to DeVante Parker on a nice 9-year career. And I hope he enjoys retirement. Now, as I said earlier, patrons get to ask advanced questions for the YouTube. I have 2 of those. So let's jump into those right now. How do you navigate rookie drafts and trades when your league clearly doesn't value quarterback and you already have 2 top quarterbacks and a good QB3? Good question. So I would look to try and trade out of the draft or trade down to get the quarterback later. Picking Drake May at 105 in a league that doesn't value quarterback, that's not so good, I guess. But if you can trade down to 107 and 108, get extra value and still pick Drake May, then I'd just take it. You get a player I really like and you get some added value on top of it. People will realize that they need quarterback later. And I'm not just going to bypass quarterbacks. I'm not taking X-Worthy or Brian Thomas over Drake May or JJ McCarthy just because the league doesn't value quarterbacks in a super flex. I'm not going to do that. Lastly, what are your thoughts on Jalen McMillan and the Bucs landing spot? Is the landing spot a death sentence considering the incumbent Godwin and Evans, who are both talented? It's tough. It's tough to see the path year one. There is no way that Jalen McMillan will pass Chris Godwin or Mike Evans on the depth chart. Is Jalen McMillan even going to start week 1 over Trey Palmer? Maybe. I would say that's about 50-50. Godwin is a free agent after 2024. Evans is under contract through 2025. Considering the Bucs signed Baker Mayfield to a big deal, they probably are not going to be able to re-sign Godwin and keep Evans for 2025, but that's not a guarantee. Maybe they'll make the money work. I'm also not 100% sure that Baker Mayfield will be great in 2024 without Dave Canales, because, we know Dave Canales is pretty good, and, not sure that it's going to continue without him. So is the landing spot a death sentence? No. Is it the landing spot I wanted? No. And it does hurt McMillan's value significantly because in year 1, we want someone who has at least some path to getting targets. But Cade Otton also plays 100% of snaps. His role is not just going to disappear. So where's the role for Jalen McMillan? I just don't see it. There probably has to be an injury for him to even have a shred of relevance. So, yeah, I'm just drafting running backs in this range. McMillan is just not a player that I'm probably looking to target. Now, if you liked the video, make sure to leave a like and a comment with your thoughts on these final rookie sleepers. As always, the best way to support the channel is to subscribe. And don't forget to hit that notifications bell so you can be notified about all my exciting content as it drops on the channel. Of course, if you want my full Dynasty Fantasy Football advice, it's available on the Patreon, as I've mentioned a couple of times. Every sign-up helps support the independent content we're doing on this channel. But once again, I want to thank everyone for watching, and I will see you all later. Peace out.